Hello, darlings. You're welcome to Z Star Africa, your home of sizzling drama recaps. Let's dive deep into the grand finale of Lost in Love, a powerful ending filled with emotional twists, heartbreaking truths, and a final showdown that will leave you breathless. From a life-altering injury that changes everything, to Savi stepping into a dangerous lie to save Neil, to rising tensions, painful revelations, and the last, unforgettable moment that seals everyone's fate. This is Lost in Love grand finale. This is the very last of Neil and Savi. This is an unforgettable closure. Please like and turn on your notifications for more of your favorites. Let's dive into this epic finale. Neil suffers a severe head injury after being shot by Srichand, leading to memory loss that makes him believe Savi is his wife. The doctors warn that telling Neil the truth could worsen his condition, so they advise Savi to continue the act to support his recovery. Remembering all Neil has done for her, Savi agrees. Some days later, Dr. Serva informs the family that Neil is stable enough to go home, though his memory may take days or months to return. Lena objects to Savi's presence, but Dr. Serva firmly insists that Savi is essential for Neil's emotional and mental healing. Faced with the risk to Neil's recovery, Lena reluctantly agrees. Back at home, Lena performs a welcoming ritual for Neil and, at his request, includes Savi and the children. Neil stays close to Savi, believing she is his wife. When Amruta brings him turmeric milk, Neil doesn't recognize her, and the family struggles with his memory lapses. Later, Savi gives Neil his medicine, and he confides in her that he cannot remember her name. Embarrassed, he decides to call her Baiwi until his memory returns, and Savi plays along. She promises to bring in her and the children's belongings, giving the excuse that their room is under renovation. When she finds a photo of Teju, Savi quietly vows never to take Teju's place and promises to leave once Neil fully recovers. As Savi settles Sai on the bed, she surrounds her with pillows. Neil walks in, puzzled, and asks why there are so many between them. Savi explains that Sai can't sleep without them. It's always been this way. Neil sighs, admitting he remembers none of it, and everything feels new. Later, as they prepare for bed, Neil wonders aloud how they used to say goodnight, just words or a kiss. Trusting his instincts, he kisses Savi's cheek softly and whispers, "Good night," before drifting off. The next morning, Neil asks Savi to make tea. When she serves it, he grimaces, complaining that she still doesn't know how to make it right. Lena intervenes, saying he prefers her handmade tea and offers to teach Savi. Neil agrees but insists that from now on, he'll only drink tea made by Savi. In the kitchen, Lena warns Savi not to complicate Neil's recovery, threatening to throw her out once he's better. Neil hands Savi a letter, confused about her surname. "Your name is Savi Talker?" She explains it was her maiden name and asks what the letter says. With a smirk, he reveals her police suspension has been revoked. She can rejoin duty immediately. Overjoyed, Savi prepares to leave, but Lena protests, insisting she stay home to care for Neil. Vinod points out Lena just wants a caretaker, but Neil firmly disagrees. "I don't accept that. Savi can take care of me while doing her job. Kids learn from us, and I want my wife to return to duty. I'm proud of her." Dressed in her uniform, Savi stands proudly as Neil adjusts her cap. "I'm reliving our beautiful past," he murmurs, their eyes locking in a tender moment. Neil tells Savi that his memory loss has given him a chance to relive and rebuild their relationship. He lovingly makes her wear the Mangalsutra and asks about the day he was shot. He vaguely recalls her shouting Sai's name and hearing gunfire, but can't piece the rest together. When he urges Savi to tell him the truth, she tensely explains that a criminal had taken Sai hostage, and Neil got shot trying to save her. Moved, Neil hugs Savi, expresses pride in her bravery, and asks her to promise she'll return home safely every day. Though he doesn't remember their past, he shares his desire to build a beautiful future with her. Savi promises and leaves for her first day of duty. Before leaving for work, Neil excitedly asks Savi to return early, revealing he has planned a special dinner date and wants her to wear something he likes. Though reluctant, Savi agrees. That evening, she gets ready in a sari, and Neil is awestruck by her presence. Lena watches silently, recalling Bhagyashree's warning that Savi might destroy Neil the same way she did Rajat. Neil tells Savi he's glad to fall in love with her all over again. As he kisses her hand, Savi struggles internally, unsure how to protect Neil without hurting him. Just then, Sai arrives, saying she insisted on coming after seeing Savi get dressed. Neil reveals the dinner is actually at home, a romantic setup complete with decorations and live music, because he figured Savi might be too tired after work. Neil tries to connect with Savi, but she pulls back slightly. He questions if something's wrong and why Sai joined their date. He gently asks if anything had happened between them before his accident. Savi denies it and explains she simply wanted to spend time with Sai. Neil accepts her response and maintains hope. He tries to feed Savi, but she suggests waiting for Sai. Neil agrees and then curiously asks where they first met, imagining a romantic story. Savi silently recalls their real first meeting, in a police station, bonded by shared grief. Later, Sai secretly informs Neil about Savi's upcoming birthday. The next morning, Savi wakes up to a bouquet and a note from Neil, promising to make every birthday special despite not remembering the past. Following a trail of flowers, Savi receives a sari as her first gift. She walks into the hall, where she is greeted with flower petals and a surprise birthday celebration. Neil gifts her a gold chain and says, "I don't know how I loved you before, but now I'll love you every day in a new way." As he leans in to kiss her forehead, Savi stops him and says, "I'm not your wife, and Kian and Sai aren't your kids. Please stop." Suddenly, Neil faints. Savi gasps and starts apologizing, only to realize it was all a dream. She hasn't told Neil the truth yet. As she composes herself, Lena walks away, followed by Vinod. Lena confronts Savi, accusing her of manipulating Neil and fearing he might forget his real family. Savi assures her they will leave once Neil recovers. Later, Neil learns from Sai that Savi visited his parents. When Savi returns, she returns the birthday chain to Lena, saying she has no right over it. Neil witnesses this and grows curious about his past with Savi. Neil questions Prachi and Yesh about his relationship with Savi, but both avoid giving answers. Feeling lost, Neil drinks alone, reflecting on Savi's distant behavior. He tries recalling his past and breaks down in frustration. Savi stops him from drinking, but during their scuffle, the bottle shatters and Savi injures her hand. Neil tends to her wound, scolding her gently and expressing a deep instinct to protect her. He confesses that while he remembers nothing, he feels a strong connection to her and the kids. "If you leave me, I'll be lifeless," he says. Savi begins to wonder if Neil is falling for her again. When Neil questions her about returning the birthday gift to Lena, suspecting problems from their past, Savi breaks down and hugs him, torn between truth and emotion. Savi emotionally tells Neil, "You're the oasis of my life, and you have no idea how important you are to me." She explains returning his gifted necklace to Ayi as a gesture of duty, assuring him it's safe with his mother. Neil apologizes for overreacting and ruining her birthday, promising to make it unforgettable. Though Savi insists it's unnecessary, he leaves determined. She then prays for guidance for both of them. At Neil's beautifully decorated birthday celebration, family and Dr. Serva gather. Serva compliments the arrangements and asks about Neil, who then arrives singing and dancing for Savi. Sai watches gratefully, thanking God for Neil's presence in Savi's life. Neil remarks that the moment feels familiar, hinting at returning memories, but dismisses it. Savi cuts the cake, feeding everyone as Serva captures a family photo. Bhagyashree sees the picture and vows to reclaim her grandchildren, refusing to let Savi win. The next day, Sai teaches Neil meditation to aid his recovery, their playful bond evident. Prachi recalls Neil once calling Sai his sunshine, hoping their connection endures. Dr. Serva updates the family on Neil's rapid progress, predicting full memory recovery if he remains happy. Lena and Vinod rejoice, thanking Savi for her unwavering support. Lena assures her she's free to leave with the children once Neil recovers. As Savi prepares, her inner voice questions her sadness about leaving. Though she insists she still loves Rajat, her heart betrays her growing attachment to Neil. She worries about Sai Shah, fearing the emotional toll if Neil's memories return and their dynamic changes. Noticing her tears, Neil comforts her, declaring that regaining his memory matters less than having her and their family by his side. His words leave Savi torn between duty and her unspoken love. Lena informs Bhagyashri that they cannot reveal the truth to Neil while he is still recovering and promises to send the children in a few days. However, Bhagyashri demands they come immediately, declaring she cannot live without them. Lena reminds her of their agreement, keeping the kids until Neil recovers in exchange for help gaining custody of Kian and Sai, but Bhagyashri angrily dismisses the deal, caring only about her grandchildren. The heated argument triggers Bhagyashri's asthma attack, cutting the call short. Noticing Bhagyashri's distress, Riddhi calls Savi for help. Savi instructs her to take Bhagyashri to the hospital and rushes there herself, accidentally leaving her phone behind. Neil spots it and plans to return it to her, but Lena and Prachi lie, claiming Savi is on a police raid. Assuming she'll pick up Sai later, Neil continues his morning routine. At the hospital, Savi learns Bhagyashri is stable after timely treatment. While handling the payment, Neil notices the hospital charge on Savi's credit card and rushes over, followed by Lena, Prachi, and the Pradhan family. Savi confronts Bhagyashri about her self-destructive behavior, but Bhagyashri accuses her of stealing her grandchildren. Savi defends her presence in Neil's life, citing his sacrifice for Sai, and asserts that Neil is not her family, they are. Overhearing this, Neil collapses. Despite emergency efforts, the doctor declares he has slipped into a coma. Devastated, Lena blames both Bhagyashri and Savi, calling Savi inauspicious. A heartbroken Savi quietly leaves. Later, Savi takes Sai and Kian to Bhagyashri, acknowledging her pain and refusing to separate them further. She tearfully hugs Sai, who asks where her mother is going and wonders why Puki Baba, Neil, is missing. Bhagyashri, overwhelmed, watches as Savi departs in sorrow. Sai tearfully pleads with an unconscious Neil, whom she calls Puki Baba, to wake up, reminding him that even Perry's mother left without a word, and now he's asleep too. She offers him chocolate, hoping for a response. Meanwhile, Savi breaks down in front of Lord Ganesha, questioning why she keeps losing everyone she loves. She begs for Neil's recovery, promising to distance herself from everyone if he just survives. Emotional, Sai tells Neil that if he becomes a star, she will too, because she can't live without him. As Bhagyashri arrives and urges Sai to leave, Neil clutches Sai's hand. The doctor enters to examine him. At the same time, Bhakti informs Savi that Srichand has confessed to all his crimes, including Teju and Rajat's murders. Although the confession marks victory, Savi feels hollow, saying Neil deserved to witness the moment too, as it was their shared fight. Soon, Bhagyashri and Sai share the news of Neil's regained consciousness. Sai says her prayers worked, just like her mother's. Overwhelmed, Bhagyashri admits to Savi that she was never a true mother and apologizes for her past mistakes. Savi breaks down and hugs her. Bhagyashri then announces her decision to leave the city with Riddhi and Tara, but encourages Savi to stay and begin anew with Neil, as the city gave her a second chance. Neil, now fully conscious, recalls his loved ones fondly. Savi watches from afar but, believing he no longer needs her, quietly walks away. Neil sees her leaving through the glass and is overwhelmed by memories. 2 days later, Neil tells Lena He wants to meet Savi. Lena discourages him, saying Savi considered the marriage a formality and has left with her children. But Neil insists Savi is his wife, and he only wants to ask her one question. Did she ever truly feel anything for him? Later, as Savi prepares to leave for Mumbai, she brings out Rajat's photo, saying their family is finally complete. Neil watches from a distance, silently accepting her choice. When Sai asks if Neil is joining them, Savi says no, but believes they'll see him again when the time is right. As their car pulls away, Savi spots Neil in the rearview mirror. He salutes her with a gentle smile. She asks the driver to stop and walks back to him. Sai joyfully calls out, "Pookie Baba." Neil asks Savi to stay, promising to protect her and the children forever. Savi gently declines, explaining that while she's grateful, she's learned to live on her own and now wants to focus on her children and healing. Accepting her choice, Neil makes one last request, to remain friends. Savi agrees. They shake hands and share a quiet farewell. As she walks back to the car with tears in her eyes, Neil stays behind. Driving away, Savi reflects on her journey and the loved ones she's lost and found, her parents, Ishana, Rajat, and Neil. Remembering her mother's words, "When you're scared, say these words," Savi whispers them softly and smiles, finally at peace as she begins a new chapter. That's a wrap on Lost in Love.